Thanks for staying with our special coverage of the FCT Council area Council elections. Now, the decision on who will emerge as chairman in the 6 area councils of the Federal Capital Territory will be determined today as 65 candidates from the 17 political parties contest the chairmanship seats. The poll will be the second election nationwide conducted under the supervision of the current chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Joash Amopitan, who assumed office in October 2025 following the Anambra State governorship election. These are live images from where our correspondent Joke Adisa is covering and monitoring the election. Talk to us, what is happening at your location and how is the process being seen at the polling unit at that point, Joke?
Yes, we've gone around and we've seen some electoral officers coming in, setting up and getting ready for voters to come and exercise their franchise. But as I speak here now, I am at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission here in Maitama. What we have here is some disquiet. Everywhere is quiet. Apart from security agencies, we are not seeing anyone in sight. The stretch of this road that is usually very busy is virtually empty this morning, and that, of course, is because of today's elections. Any moment from now, maybe the next 1 hour or two, the national chairman of INEC is expected to go around some of the polling units to see, to monitor, to see how elections, of course, will be running. So that is what we have for you now. Like you also alluded to, this election certainly is a litmus test for the new INEC chairman, and I'm sure all eyes are on him, and everyone wants to see how well this election turns out, particularly as far as it has to do with buying of votes, selling of votes, and all stuff. And overall, giving the nation's capital a free, fair, transparent, and credible election.
Okay, Joke, you just told us that you are right at INEC, and help us understand how many polling units have you noticed so far around you? You said officials are mobilizing. This is a good one because earlier we spoke with other correspondents. They've not noticed. Now you notice that polling officials are beginning to arrive at polling units. Tell us, how many have you noticed or counted around where you are at the moment?
Yes, we have seen virtually all the polling units are setting up as we speak. Most of them by now will even have completed, because we were there earlier. Most of them will have completed their setup. And of course, the voters, we saw voters as of when we were there before we came here. So basically, I think the commission is trying to meet up with, polling units are expected to open, say, from 8. The electoral officers are expected to arrive as from 7, and by 8:30, voting is expected to start. So I think they are keeping to that stretch, like particularly in the city center that we have gone around to see. So so what we are expecting now is for voters, of course, to turn out, to come up. We are in the build-up to this election. We sampled the opinions of residents of Abuja, and some of them, of course, did say that they were not aware that elections will hold, while some others, of course, did say they were aware. Some agreed that they will vote. Some said they might not vote for one reason or another. But we are hoping that there won't be voter apathy. And the charge on INEC is that in subsequent elections, there should be, more awareness, that people should be aware, they should be sensitized enough to know that there are elections coming up, and that citizens should understand the need for them to exercise their franchise.
All right, Joke, what kind of engagement would you say INEC had with stakeholders in the build-up to elections? And also, how would you rate, the training and retraining of staff and ad hoc staff that will be participating in this election?
Yes, usually when elections are on the way, what we see INEC does most of the time is to meet with critical stakeholders. You talk of security, you talk of the media, you talk of the civil society community, you talk of even, election monitors, who of course are election monitors, election observers from the civil society groups. So the INEC does that in preparation for every election, and this election, of course, was not an exception. And one thing that stood out, particularly for the new INEC chairman, is the need to curb vote buying. And the commission was very firm on this, and it said that it will ensure that it curbed vote buying. But how well it will be able to achieve that, of course, remains to be seen, because even on the streets of the nation's capital, some residents still believe that it might be difficult, that politicians have a way, they have their own way of actually doing these things, that most often, even the vote buying, of course, is done even before election, not necessarily on election day. So, but I'm sure our democracy is evolving, and over time, with electoral amendments and all that, I'm sure someday, somehow, Nigeria will be able to beat this menace called vote buying and other electoral malpractices.
All right, thank you so much, Jaka Adiza, for sharing your thoughts with us and what you've seen on the field. Habida Lawal, what new information do you have for us from where you are at the moment?
We're presently at Okeagbe Ward in Garki in the Abuja Municipal Area Council, and as you can see behind me, there are presiding officers already set up and waiting for voters to begin the process in earnest. You can see they are setting up their voting materials, the electoral materials as well. The boxes for chairmanship and councillor is also being set up. And by 8:30, they should see some persons coming around to cast their vote.
And aside deployment by INEC officials, how about the security agencies? You see, I see a policeman standing right behind you. That's one person, one officer, rather. So what is the level of deployment by security agencies, the police?
Well, from what we have seen so far, the Abuja Municipal Area Council might not be the exact concentration for security agencies, because over time, along the years, we've seen that there is usually no violence and elections are conducted in orderly manner. And one would think that maybe their focus is elsewhere in other parts of FCT where elections are taking place, especially in some area council that are far off from the city center.
Okay, Abida, in less than 20 minutes from now, just barely about 15 minutes, we'll go by the timetable issued by INEC. Voting should start. Tell us what you've noticed around you. I mean, the voter, are you seeing them hanging somewhere around the various polling units you have visited?
Well, on weekends such as this, Abuja people are not the morning types, except people that are trying to achieve their fitness goal. You see them jogging around. Apart from that, on days like this and when there is public holiday and there are little movement or little persons moving around that we've seen so far, we've not seen any voter at this particular polling unit.
All right, Abida, we want to say thank you. We'll still come back to you very shortly. But back here in the studio,